Okay. What up, what up, what up? I am John, and this is the John Muhammad Podcast Show. And today our guest is a brother out of the Midwest, Detroit, Michigan. But this brother now lives in Houston, Texas. He was discovered by a cat named Chuck D from PublicEnemy back when he was only 17 years old. Along with a group called MF911, they were one of the first hip-hop groups from Detroit to get signed to a major label record deal back in 1992. By 1994, this brother became a radio personality in Detroit for FM 98 WJLB to build up his name and his fame. Now known for his hardcore production, chop samples sounding nothing like the original, the Boombapkings was created. By this time, he resourced his productions out to other artists like the infamous Mob, Guilty Simpson, RZA, Raekwon, Ghostface Killer, Method Man, Proof, Scarface, and more. This cat has toured with some of the biggest names like PublicEnemy, Mobb Deep, EPMD, and the Wu-Tang Clan. And he's been on some of the most legendary tours in the game, like the Art of Rap and countless PublicEnemy tours. He really needs no introduction, but for all my fans and followers, we need y'all to show love. But we got AntLive in the building. What up, my brother?
Peace, John. Appreciate you for having me, man. That introduction sound better than Noriega's introduction and shit, man.
I'm giving Nori a little run for his money, huh?
Oh man, you killing him. I'm a Nori fan, but you killing him with your introduction.
Okay, I'm
humbled to be on this show, man. It's been a minute, and I've been looking forward to being on your show, man. I've watched it and I've seen prior interviews, and I was just like, yo, man, that's the first coalition crew, man. I really want to be on this, so I thank you, man. I can talk my talk, tell my story or whatnot.
Definitely. This is the place to do it, brother. I appreciate you coming through. So let's get right into it, brother.
No doubt.
Let's go back. You was discovered at the age of 17, so we're going back a little ways.
Okay.
But when did it first hit you that you wanted to do this music game, hip hop game for a living?
Wow, man. Well, it goes all the way back to the 70s. My mother was into the Beatles when she was a kid in the 60s and shit. So, you know, when I was born in the 70s, you know, I came up listening to rock and roll. So we was like the only black kid in the hood, in the projects of Detroit 3rd Street, listening to that hard ass rock shit. Okay. So I remember specifically when I got into hip hop. It's probably 1980. I was in like the 5th grade. I think 1980, 81. I was in the 5th grade, and I heard Rapper's Delight come on the radio. Okay. It said the hip hop, hippie, the hip hop. And I remember I had a friend who had spent the night with me named Anthony Foster, who spent the night over my grandmother's crib with me, where I lived at the time. And that came on. And when I heard that, you know, it was just like, oh man, it's just like kind of changed my life type of thing. So, you know, I was in the bands, me and my boys from MF911 before we started rapping. We was playing Prince and Michael Jackson songs. So we would play for the neighborhood in the block, and we would do our little thing. But I think by the time I heard Sucker MC, which I think came out in like 1983 from Run DMC, my whole energy changed from novelist in hip hop to a full hip hopper. So I was trying to find my avenue and my way in it, you know. So I want to say 83. When I heard that Sucker MC, I knew that's the only thing that I wanted to be. Besides an athlete, a basketball player, I just knew this is what I wanted to do. So, you know, at that time, I'm from Detroit, so we don't have no hip hop community. You know what I'm saying? No hip hop community in Detroit at the time. It's just like, you know, few people here, few people there rapping. And I just kind of found my drive. I got a real high drive. So, you know, it's something I'm into, like the motor don't turn off. You know what I'm saying? So my drive was to be able to find me a way to become a rapper from that point in time. And my partners, MF911, Said Rat, Manny Main, my brother Tim, we were trying to find out, okay, well, since we transitioning from group into rap group, you know, it was just like, yo, we trying to find that way out. A lot of it came on my shoulders. You know, I was my guys from MF911, they from a hood 7 Mile in Detroit, you know what I'm saying, where my mother lived over there on that side of town. But I'm from the 3rd Street area where I live with my grandmother most of the time. So when I would get with them guys, you know, it was, you know, come on, fellas, let's do this. They was dope in what they did, but it was like, it was me. It's like, you know, everybody jump on my back because I was a driving force for the group trying to find a way out of Detroit because, again, there was no hip-hop community.
Gotcha.
So by the time, you know, by the time we get to 86, 87, you know, hip hop is really taking off. I'm like, we really deep in the ultramagnetic MCs. So we go from, you know, of course we're Public Enemy fans, right? But I don't know Chuck at this time. Okay, you understand? So we just hardcore Public Enemy fans, but we were always addicted to the boom bap. So the boom bap was essentially groups like Tila Rock, Just Ice, Boogie Down Productions, and the most infamous group boom bap at that time was Ultramagnetic MCs. Okay. So you had Kool Keith, you had Sedge, you had TR Love, and you had Mo Love. Public Enemy was tops to us, but we wanted to be like Ultramagnetic. You follow me what I'm saying? Yeah. That's what we be like. So I get to the point where we're really going through this. Like, I got 2 things that I'm doing in my life at this time. I'm not into no women. I'm not into nothing. The only thing that I'm into is basketball because I'm playing high school ball, right, which is 50% of my time, in hip hop, which is the other 50%, and maybe grades might get 20% up in that shit or something like that. But those were the only things that was going on with me in the 80s. I thought about nothing else but shooting ball like Isaiah Thomas and being a hip hop like Run DMC or LL Cool J. Right. So by the time we get to 1987, that's when I meet Chuck D, and it's a crazy way how I met him. You know what I'm saying? Me and my going to the Fresh Fest concert. I think it's the Fresh Fest. I think, 87. It was Fresh Fest. So we go down to the Fresh Fest at Joe Louis Arena, downtown Detroit. I don't have no money to get in, man. And I'm not, I'm from the hood, so I don't have no money. So I take one of my boys with me. And I'm like, yo, let's go get in this concert. So my boy gets me down there. I know how to get in things. And, by this time, I'm like 17, 16 years old, and I know how to maneuver around things. You know what I'm saying? Because my uncle, my uncles was hustlers, so they knew how to get in things. You know what I'm saying? They knew how to do things. They weren't hustlers or dope or nothing like that, but they was just hustlers. They know how to move and shake. So I kind of learned that from them early. So I was able to get into the back door at Joe Louis Arena, get my boy in, get into the concert. Right. We watching EPMD, Public Enemy, NWA. It's like the most fabulous thing that you would ever see. You know what I'm saying? And we rocking. Let me tell you about this concert, because the concert is always the craziest. It's the best concert I've ever seen, because for the whole concert, we stood on our feet and we jumped and we threw our fists in the air like that for the whole. So can you imagine Joe Louis Arena in Detroit just rocking and people just throwing their hands, and it was just really, it was exhilarating. So my Ice-T was there too. So anyway, at the end of the concert, I needed to meet the rockers, the rappers, but I needed to meet Chuck D though the most. But you know, you had everybody back there. You had NWA. It was crazy. And Ice-T. I remember I'm the biggest Ice-T fan.
Yeah.
But Ice-T was too gangster. You know what I'm saying? To be dealing with people. You know what I'm saying? I could just see his energy. Yeah. And back then, bro, they had press conferences because remember, hip hop is early at this time. So there's not really there's media there, but for the hip hoppers, after the shows, they go to the big media area, like a basketball game, as they do now. Yep. And all the media is there and they're interviewing because hip hop is so new, hip hop is so fresh. So I remember getting into back of that media area, right? So I'm watching it. So after PublicEnemy gets off the stage, for some reason I come around to the side. There's a rope. I see Professor Griff. So I'm like, yo, Griff, you know, I flag Griff down. Mm-hmm. Griff lets me back behind the yellow tape wherever the shit was taped off, and he was gonna get me some shirts and some hats. And he was like, yo, go on up in there and get you some shirts and some hats. Okay. So I'm like, yo, I'm gonna go up there and get me some shirts and some hats for me, my brother, the hood, and everything. Right. Griff was like, oh, yo, man, what you doing, man? You can't, you know, he got Will Stern with me too. I was like, no, man, I just want to get it for my brother and everybody and everything. Right. So I end up meeting Chuck. You say you want to meet Chuck? Yeah. So I end up meeting Chuck D. It's the most amazing story. So I end up meeting Chuck D. We're in the media area. Okay. And we're talking to Chuck, and Chuck, I guess, I don't know, Chuck feels my energy or something. I'm 17. I remember I'm out there with my boy Solo D. I think we in his blue Honda, or it's a Hyundai or Honda or something. This is like 87, 88. This is 87, 88. I don't think it turned 88 yet. Okay. Maybe. But the point that I'm saying is, I'm talking to Chuck, right? I'm in the media area, and I guess he's just feeling my energy. I'm a small, little, skinny kid. Right. And I'm just telling him, and then all of a sudden, we're talking. And then Chuck says, you got a car? I said, do I got a car? I'm like, yeah, we got a car. Mm-hmm. He says, so you want to take me back to the hotel? Now, they've got
how does that happen?
This is crazy, man. I'm telling you. Right. They've got the limousine and everything parked outside. The tour van are parked out, and they're about to go to the Latin Quarters. The Latin Quarters Hotel is where they're staying on the boulevard in Detroit. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, Chuck D says, do you got a car? Right. So I'm like, what the fuck is happening right here? So we're like, yeah, we got a car. So he was like, all right, I'll ride with y'all back to the hotel. Mm. I'm like, what? Right. So at this time, you know, it's not like we got crispy demos to give him. We're working on a broke down 4-track that we're sneaking using me and my boy Said Rap from MF911. So we're working on a broke down 4-track where we're going cassette tape to cassette tape and overdub to overdub to record our songs. So our songs are really not, we sound terrible at this time. We're not hot at all. Right. But for some reason, okay, he adopts me. So the next day, let me tell you how I always remember this, because let's look up the movie Die Hard. That's when the concert was. So the movie, whatever the movie Die Hard drops, the concert was the day before. Yeah. The movies drop on Fridays. The concert was on the Thursday. So if Die Hard dropped in 88 or 87, the concert is the day before then. Right. The reason why I say Die Hard, brother, is because the day after, he tells me to pick him up. He want to hang out. He's like, what are y'all doing? I'm like, yo, whatever, come pick me up. He's got an aunt's house that he's on the east side of Detroit. Right. That he says, I'm not going to follow the tour to the next city. I'm going to fly to the next city. I'm going to stay with my aunt in Detroit. I haven't seen her in a while. Okay. So you guys come pick me up the next day and we'll hang out. So I remember we going to taking the truck to Northland Mall, and I'm seeing a lot of my high school friends there, you know, and a lot of my high school friends, they thought that I was a liar a lot because I used to tell them, yo, I go to all the basketball games. I know Isaiah Thomas. I know. Yeah. So them niggas used to think that I'm lying about all my I do hip hop and shit. They were like, nigga, you don't do no hip hop. Right. You know, they thought I was because, you know, my uncle, again, they was hustlers, so they was able to get me in to the practice, to the Pistons shit, right? Okay. So I always did that shit. So when I was talking about hip hop is so new, niggas just really think I'm fronting. So the point is they see me at the mall with Chuck D. Niggas is going crazy. The crowds is going crazy. And this is my cousin right here. He's telling everybody I'm his cousin. So after that, we go to the movie, takes us to the movie Die Hard. Me and my boys said we go to the movie Die Hard. We drop him back off. We got his number. There's no cell phones, so we have his home number. Okay. We keep in touch. We're trying to develop our group. Okay. He tells us, yo, man, we call Chuck. I'm like, yo, Chuck, we need the name of our group. And he was like, well, I got a song called 911 is a Joke coming out. So he says, why don't you name your group 911? And we were already motherfucking, we were coming up with the names. So we come up with MF or Megaforce, standing not for motherfucking, but it was standing for Megaforce because we were supposed to be the sons of ultramagnetic MCs. Gotcha. Instead of we would go MF, and then Chuck says 911. He gives us a lot of names for titles of songs, and the conversations go on and on. But Chuck gets bigger and bigger, so he loses contact. So around 89, we fall deep into the understanding of ultramagnetic MCs. Okay. So even though rolling with Chuck, we are really following the mode of the ultramagnetic MCs. If I'm got other questions, just let me know.
Just go, do your thing, brother. We got time. Yeah, go.
So again, I come out of high school in '89, and I'm a college basketball is the only thing on my mind at this time besides music. Okay. So '89, I come out, I go to play ball. Dakota State, I'm rapping. I got my turntables in the dorm. My boy said is at home. He's working his little job. I'm in college. I end up playing up there for a season. I come home. 1991 again. Me and Sid, we're doing music, but again, I'm away at college. So I'm out to fend for myself. Right. Doing my solo, looking at other producers, learning from other people while Sid is at the crib. So anyway, I get a scholarship at Lansing Community College in 1991. Okay. I end up catching a case with a basketball player up there, Paris Hickman. Okay. So we end up catching a case or whatever. So I get on the run. So I just remember, man, I was so in love with music and I needed to be a part of music that when I was on the run, I remember the college had the student loan payments for you. You know, you had your advance, your what do you call it? Your refund check. Okay. So I remember on the run, and while I was on the run from the police, you know, trying to get my life together, I was still doing this hip hop shit. So I just remember at a point in time that I go back to the scene of the crime. Okay. I cash my refund check and I go to a music store there in Lansing, buy a whole bunch of, get on the bus and come back to Detroit. So my mind is, I'm telling you to say all of this at this point, my mind is never leaving hip hop. No matter what I'm going through, if I'm in college and I'm playing college ball, it's hip hop. I'm on the run with the police, it's hip hop. So my mind is staying forward. So all's well, ends well. I ended up taking a basketball scholarship in 1992. to this college in 1991, Concordia College and University in Ann Arbor. So did this. At this point in time, brother, my music is the only thing in my mind as well as playing this ball. So in 91, I'm like, we're calling record companies at this point in time. This is where we really going hard, me and my boy Sid. But I'm the one that's calling. I understand how to move and how to talk and how to articulate things. So I'm calling these labels. So me and Sid's favorite group in 91 is Ultramagnetic MCs. Okay. So at this point in 91, they have left Next Plateau Records and they've gone to Mercury Records. Gotcha. I happened to call in 91. I want to say, when did I call? I called Sid G probably in July 90, probably August 1. I called up to Next Plateau Records. Next Plateau Records tells us, they like, yo, I'm such and such a boss from Detroit. We want the Ultramagnetic MCs to produce for our group. And they're like, well, Sid, he's not at this label anymore, but we'll give you his home phone number. You can call him for some. I'm like, find it? So they give me his home number. So we call Sid G. I call Sid G up on the phone. And I get his mama answers, and then she puts him on the phone. And I'm stuttering, I'm stammering, and I'm trying to explain. Then I said, look, man, I'm probably your biggest fan in the world. Me and my group, we from Detroit. We understand everything about you and your music. And we want to be a part of it. We need you to help us get a deal. And we'll drive up there. We don't even want to send you a tape. And he's like, no, send me a tape first. And if the tape is dope, then I'll have you drive up here and we can work. So he's like, man, you probably tell that to all the rappers. I remember specifically saying, no. He was like, no, I'm being honest with you. So we sent him the demo tape. The demo tape is, when I think about it, we didn't have a hit or anything. It's not like we had a single or song thing. So we send him the demo tape. He likes the demo tape. He calls us to come up to New York. We take $60. We put $60 amongst the three of us in 1991. We take $60. We drive to New York. We get us a hotel. We go to Sid G's house. When we get to Sid G's house, guess who answers the door? Tim Dog, fuck Compton. He answers the door at the time.
Oh, wow.
Imagine, we thought it was a see Tim Dog. So Tim Dog answers the door. He tells us in. He's like, yeah, man. He's talking to us. He's like, yeah, if you see y'all tape on the top of the file, y'all probably going to get a deal. So I don't know if niggas shooting shit up our ass, but we see our tape on the top of the pile. We end up recording some songs with Sid G in 91. We come back to Detroit. I go to college. My boy Sid goes where he got to go. 1992. I get a call, and I haven't talked to Sid G in about 4 months, playing college ball. I get a call. Sid G is on the phone. He's like, I got y'all a deal. I'm like, what? He says you got two options, John. Sid G tells us he's got two options. He says, Next Plateau wants to sign you right now. But Russell at Def Jam is interested in you. Okay. Like what? So, I'm the type of guy, I'm like a bird in the hand is worth more than the bush.
Right.
Was
Russell the Russell that we know today, or when you heard that name, you was just kind of like, who is that?
No, Russell Simmons from Def Jam. He had already signed Boss. Okay. He had already signed Boss.
Yeah, I remember that.
So when Sid G brought him to us, he was interested in signing us. But that's a major. We didn't have a single already. Okay. And that was a chance. We might miss the opportunity with Next Plateau, who was ready to sign off on us tomorrow. Right. The only demos that we had that sounded good was the two songs that we did with Sid G in his studio when we visited him initially. You follow what I'm saying? Yep. So He's taking those 4 later. So I'm like, hold on, I don't want to take no chances. Shit, let me get the deal right now. Let me get the deal right now. Okay. So we go ahead and we get the deal. We signed in 1992. Mm-hmm. But the person that we signed to is not Chuck D. Mm-hmm. It's said G, the ultramagnetic D's. Okay. And he has a great relationship with his old record label, Next Plateau. He doesn't sign us over to Mercury where they are. He signs us over to Next. Okay. So at this point, we totally lost touch with Chuck. At this point, he's super big at this point in time. Right. I don't even have his, but we're locked in. We're like, I'm locked in. Like if Dr. Dre is your favorite or DJ Premier is your favorite, mm-hmm. I signed my favorite producer of all time at that point in time in my life, which was Said G.
Gotcha.
And I just knew that it was a no-lose situation. So that is how I got into hip-hop, and that is how I knew it till I got to the point where I had my deal.
Wow. It just seemed like, it almost seemed like it was just predestined because you're running into, you know what I'm saying, Tim Dog at the door. It's like, how does that happen? That is crazy. That is crazy.
It is, man. It is. And it's like my career has just been a bunch of predestined situations. You know what I'm saying? You know, from 1993, we recorded the record label. They signed us in 92. Mm-hmm. They wanted that out in the summer of 92. Right? So summer of 92, we end up going to New York, recording the album with Said G. When we get there to New York, the craziest thing is going on. So, you know, Said G is the beats. He's produced Criminal Minded. He's produced Critical Beatdown. Mm-hmm. He's produced Dogs, Fuck Compton. He's produced some of the greatest artists at this time. Mm-hmm. And so when we get the budget, we get our money, and then Said G gets the budget, but he don't bring us up to New York. It's like we sitting in Detroit waiting. It's like niggas got the money, and you know, it's like, okay, what's going on?
What's the next move?
So we had to what's the next move? So we had to forcefully call the label because Said G was our production company.
Okay.
So we signed to the label and we signed to Said G.
Okay.
So we call the label. We like, yo, send us a ticket so we can come to New York to record. Mm-hmm. So we just kind of forcefully bolo our way to New York because Said G really wasn't ready for us. Okay. So when we get to New York to record the album in the summer of 1992, we're living in the Bronx, Grand Concourse with the G. And with the first recording session, he says to us, all right, so let me hear your beats. We like, huh? Let you hear our beats?
Right.
We like, we didn't bring no beats. You know, we doing SR10, right, but we not no producers. Nigga, we searched you out, came to your house,
right,
had you get us a deal in all of our dreams. Some niggas wanted Premier, some niggas wanted KRS-One, we wanted you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So it was like, hold on, what's going on here? So he's giving us these beats. Oh my God, I love Said G, but they're the wackest beats in the world.
Oh.
So let me say this. We wanted 1988 beats.
Okay.
And it was 1992. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. So different.
So we was locked in. Different era. Times has changed. This is not fucking Critical Beatdown.
Right.
So we trying to get 88 type beats from G, and he's explaining to us, no, beats don't go like that. They go boom, 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 bap, boom, 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 bap.
Okay.
He's telling me they go boom, bap. That's how I become the boom bap king and how boom bap ends up controlling my whole life. Gotcha. But it goes back to I wanted the 88. I want them type of beats.
Yeah.
And he's going, no, and they going boom, boom, boom. So anyway, we end up recording the album. End of summer, because I got to be back to college in September.
Okay.
August, I come home. We mix the album at Rough House Records, Philadelphia. Bring the album back home for R.J. Rice. R.J. Rice at this time has Jay Dilla, who is now known as J.D.
Okay.
And he has these various from obscure Detroit hip hop that end up becoming stars. Okay. So I remember we were going to do remixes at his studio. We play our album for them. They laugh at us. I heard they didn't laugh at us, but the word got back is from one of the producers there, Ade Maynard, that the niggas, everybody laughed at your album. They said that shit sound like somebody was beating on a damn piano. So that kind of knocks our confidence down. So we end up re-recording the album. We asked the label to give us some more money so we could record it in Detroit. So we get Jay Dilla to help us. We're like I always try to take credit for using Jay Dilla, because Jay Dilla, he actually produced on the MF911 album. But we couldn't use all of the stuff that we were doing with him, because it was just the record company wanted all of the publishing. Yeah. R.J. Rice was a seasoned music producer and vet, was not giving up the publishing. So it was like for a whole year we went through the rigmarole. Finally, the album coming out in 1993, in October 9th, 1993. Now, if luck goes, the album comes out the same day as Salt and Pepper releases the Shoot album. They're our label. They're on next platform with us. So MF911 releases, Salt and Pepper releases. The record label tell us, oh, you don't worry about you guys releasing on the same day, because there are two different types of hip hop. Well, I think at that point, you know what I'm saying, the label puts it out. They don't put a lot of energy into the project. So, you know, it's just pretty much ends up being what they call a tax write-off or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So that's how that ended up going right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's bananas. That's bananas. So, okay, let's talk about that group. Okay. MF911. Who were the other? Because that wasn't it 3 of y'all?
It's 3 of us. Yeah. You got Dead Rat.
Yep.
And Manny. Both of them are actually brothers, and they're my partners in the music. So Sad Rat, we've been knowing each other since 1981. So, and probably 10, 11 years old. So I wasn't even 11 yet. So I've been knowing each other since we were 10 years old. His brother, who was like 4 years younger than us, was like our understudy, and he came up. So yeah, me and Sid were doing music together. We were doing all kinds of music. So we were, before the hip hop, we were playing in bands and playing for the neighborhoods. Had a couple other cousins of his, and we would put a band together, and we would just play songs in the neighborhood. The funny thing is, Sid's uncle is Levi Stubbs of the Four Tops, who was the lead singer. So Sid comes from a musically talented family. So I didn't have the talent that they had, but I was able to cultivate. I was just more hungry, and I was like the guy in the band who had the drive. I was like the Teddy Riley of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? In the sense where, you know, I was just being able to manage and make things happen for us. But they were the other guy said was the real drummer, and we had his cousin who played the bass, and we just did this along until we formulated the MF911. So once we got to the hip hop and locked into the hip hop, because again, I had to kind of bring him in it because I lived in a different part of the city. So when he went around me, I was doing my own thing. Okay. So it was always like, yo, okay, man, come on and do this. And I mean, the guy was doper than me. I mean, I think he said was a way better MC than me, and just his voice was dope, and the beats were dope. But it was me with my drive that was always able to take us to the next level or where we needed to go. And that's how we formulated the group. And, you know, like I said, when we, everything that I did with the group, I always brought my guys. So with me, you know, when I got the deal with Said, I was the one who was talking to Said G on the phone. And, you know, I could have maybe shaped the deal up to where it was, I was a solo artist and then I brought my group in. But I was like, everything that I did, I always did for the group. And I always brought the other guys in because my drive and my motive was always running. It was always, I had a plan or I had an idea. And it kind of brought the other guys in and got us to where we needed. And I got us to where we needed to go, man, at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And that's just been my mentality up until this point. It's just my drive derives from all the way back then, going to games and getting in, sneaking in concerts and being able to talk to the people, to the bosses in the program to be able to see who I need to see, rather it be Chuck D or Ice-T or Griff or Said G, knowing how to talk to people when I call them up on the phone, and record company execs, and being able to do my thing, because we had no manager as a group back then. We had no manager, no publicist. Right. Me on the phone that was doing all the talking and extending the budgets and telling them what we don't like and what's happening and what's going on. So, you know, maybe that kind of hurt us and helped us at the same time, because, you know, record companies, they don't respect the artist and then the artist playing manager. Usually you got to have a buffer. Yeah. And right everything. In the middle. Wow. Yeah. But right. They had to get the deal and for us to keep going, if you follow what I'm saying.
Wow. That's bananas. Yeah. That's bananas. So, okay, you got signed, major label, your group. What happened to where some time later you become this radio personality?
Well, okay, dope. So, Dig, after we lost the deal, after the deal was up, after the album was up, we sat around. Let me just fix this real quick.
Yeah, you cool.
Okay. I just want to make sure this charger doesn't go bad on it. Excuse me.
Yeah.
All right.
You go.
So after the deal was done, pretty much.
Now, was this a one album deal?
It was like for 4 years.
Okay.
It was like for 4 years, and we ended up just doing the one album. The energy wasn't good. Said G wasn't really interested in us at that time. They came out with their album, Funk Your Head Up. So everything that Said G was doing was based around Ultramagnetic. The label didn't put us on a promo tour. A lot of that was because I was playing college basketball at the time. And on top of playing college basketball, I had got married and had a baby. So it was crazy, man. While I had my record deal in 1992, I had a baby on the way. I was living with my girl in her dorm so I could save money and not live in my dorm, and pocket the money from my scholarship. It was crazy. So it was like I had just got off a trial where I was acquitted on three federal counts of drugs where I was actually acquitted. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I actually had to go to trial. And at this point, back then in 92, they had a 95% conviction rate in federal court. But I was so green and didn't know that kind of stuff. I went through a whole trial and everything, and I was acquitted. So immediately after I got acquitted, I ended up getting a deal, moving in with my girl, having a baby. It was crazy, man. I was doing a lot of things. So I could not, as an artist, do everything that I needed to do to take full advantage of my record deal.
Gotcha.
I wasn't staying in New York. You understand? I wasn't on the phone talking to the label and telling them, Lil, we need to be on this promo tour. I wasn't giving it the energy that I needed to give it because in April 9th, when the album came out, hell, college season was about to start for 3 weeks later. So I wasn't thinking about my album that is out around the world.
Right.
I'm thinking about college basketball right now, bro. You know what I'm saying? I'm serious ball player. So, that was just as important to me as hip hop.
Okay.
So it was a lot of things going on, but I'm just thankful for the opportunity. So after the deal, I get into radio. The way I got into radio is like, the radio personalities, the program director at FM 98 WJLB knew about us because we had just had the album out.
Gotcha.
And he knew about me, AntLive or whatever. So I know one thing, I was working with this artist named Trey Black. He was from New York, and he was the radio personality at FM 98 WJLB at the time. Mm-hmm. At this time, it's 1994. So I started doing promos for him. I'm the first one in Detroit to start doing rap promos. Okay. So because radio in Detroit, they weren't playing no hip hop. That wasn't their format. It was R&B and hip hop. You know what I'm saying? So I start doing radio drops and radio promos. Trey Black is on your desk. So anyway, at this point in time, the program director, whose name is Steve Hegwood, he ends up like, yo, who is that guy doing that? Like, yo, AntLive. So they bring us in for a radio interview. My group, that's how it started. Steve Hegwood brings us in for a radio interview when my album is out, MF911.
Gotcha.
I was talking so good on the radio. He's like, man, the radio personality, Detroit Black, was like, man, you need to be in radio. Okay. I'm like, dog, for real? He's like, yeah, man, you need to be in radio the way you talking and the way you. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I get an interview. He's like, man, I want you to come in. I want you to be, we bringing in this guy named Bushman. I want you to be his co-host. This is when before Bushman gets here in Detroit. He's like, I want you to be his co-host, and I'm going to give you your own show on the weekend. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah.
Wow.
So that I was done playing college ball. That 94 was my last season. So immediately after the season, I started working with WJLB. Okay. So time goes for a minute, and the program director, Steve Hegwood, goes to Atlanta. He goes to Atlanta. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm on a Zoom interview. He goes to Atlanta, and I'm left at the station with the new program director, Michael Saunders.
Okay.
And he don't see the same vision for me as Steve Hegwood.
Right.
So at this time, I've got a new baby. I'm about to graduate from college.
Right.
And, I'm like, they paying me a little bit over minimum wage. You know what I'm saying? On some real shit though. Right. But I take that. I mean, people around the city, they think I'm making $1,000 million because I'm all over the radio doing Anthony Singleton's On Your Dial.
Right.
I got a studio at the time. Okay. So I'm like, yo, I'm just parlaying this shit to make money in the studio, doing beats for niggas. So this is like 95 or whatever. Okay. So I'm doing this. So I finally let that go. I get into education. So once I get into education, now I'm full blown into my studio and producing beats for cats. Okay. Remember back then in the 90s, the only way you could put your music out is you had to be on a record label. Okay. And if you had an independent label, you had to be on somebody's network. But you wasn't getting it's not like it is now where I was making albums back in the 90s, but a lot of people weren't hearing them. You follow what I'm saying? Right. So I end up linking up with Chuck late 90s again.
Okay.
I start doing my thing with him. A long while, me and my group, we're on and off. I'm doing a lot of solo stuff. I'm doing a lot of tracks for cats. I got cats like Eminem come record in my studio. Really? I'm doing so many different things, working with so many cats that The only thing at this point is me doing production and making money. So I left. I ended up leaving the radio station. I ended up, leaving them and resigning from that shit, man. It was crazy because people thought I was crazy when I resigned. Okay. They was like, "You resigned from the radio?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was taking up my time. They weren't paying me enough money." I did miss, and when I left it, the fame that you get with it. Right. You know what I'm saying? It was, even though he was making $2, fame was great in the city with it because it helped my other endeavors. You know what I'm saying? But, I had to leave that because it just wasn't for me. So that's where I make my transition from 93 with the group after we get the deal. Mm-hmm. Label lets us go after a year and a half. I jump into radio. Okay. I'm out of radio. Now I'm doing my recording studio, producing beats, doing albums, and, working with the best.
Wow. Man. Okay, so let's take it up. All right, let's go to the time where you're in Detroit, you're done with the radio thing, but you're doing more producing than you are rapping. If I'm getting that right. Okay, so eventually you had to make a decision on Detroit and Houston. How did that come about?
Well, if I go back to the 90s, let me just say this. And this is very important.
Okay.
I got signed to my deal in 1992.
Gotcha.
My album came out in 1993.
There
was still no hip hop community in Detroit.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So by the time my album is released and I'm on radio, 95, then the hip hop shop comes open. Mm. You follow me?
Gotcha.
I already had a record deal. I've already been on the grind as a professional. So my mind state is not, at the time, is not, yo, nigga, you should be in the hip hop shop, rubbing elbows, freestyling.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Rubbing who is who. I'm like, man, I'm past that shit. I already had a deal. I'm in the studio right now, producing, making money, and getting these beats off and everything, while everybody else is making their bones. I already had a deal. So it was just, my mind state was, back then it was like, yo, I'm beyond this. It's like, I was on some Slick Rick shit, peasants.
Right.
I don't have time for this peasantry. I'm trying to get a deal with some shit. You don't understand? But
right.
I look back at that time and I'm like, damn, what the fuck was I doing? What was I thinking? Well, you was in the studio making money.
Right.
So I was doing, you know what I'm saying? So it was, I missed those times. So when you got your Guilty Simpsons and your Eminems and your Proofs and all that, I don't know who the hell these guys are because, again, we don't have social network.
Right.
There is no local video show that highlights these guys from the city. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So I want to say, from the time I left the radio, 96 to, 2000, 2000, when does Eminem get signed? 96 to maybe 2001?
Yeah, somewhere up in there.
The city and the local rappers that I wasn't specifically producing, I missed out on that shit.
Okay.
I missed out on those cats.
Right.
I didn't catch them cats till later on in the 2000s after they had made their name. But I never caught the grind of the Guilties or the Eminems or any of those cats because I was in the studio making money.
Right.
And so it was like, who knew?
Who knew if M was gonna do what no one knew.
Bro, I got I had ADAT tapes in my studio that said Eminem.
Wow.
I owned the studio with my youngest brother. Well, not my youngest brother, but my brother, Brian. So we were about that money. Like I said, I was already an educator. And then the studio was the second form of money. So he was younger than me. So he was really in the studio doing the regular studio sessions.
Okay.
I would come to the studio to do, if I had to produce the beats for somebody, or I was doing my shit. You follow what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
So we had tapes we had Proof, we had Eminem, we had different cats down there, because I was downtown, city of Detroit. I was downtown. My studio was right in the heart of the city. Mm-hmm. But I was getting so much money that I just wasn't looking for the long range at that time.
Okay.
Everything that I was doing was short range. Give me the money now. Right. Fuck that relationship.
Yep.
I ain't got time for that shit if it ain't. And, you know, even to this day, I feel like, damn, man, I messed up in some ways, because a lot of relationships I didn't get to foster or build, because I was all about, you know, the bread at that time, from that 96 to that 2004. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it was some times I missed. So I wasn't doing a lot of shows where cats was performing at this spot, that spot. So I was, at that point, me and my wife, we started having more babies and shit. So I was really tucked in the studio and everything. So as I make the transition, 2007, up until that point, I've done like 3 albums locally for the city. You know what I'm saying? Underground shits. So 2007, me and my wife, you know, I try to make the move to Texas. Okay. So before we moved to Texas, you know, I had relationships with Ghostface and Jizza and them cats, and I built with them, and I logged in the studio time with them, and every time they come here,
you actually had better relationships with cats from New York than you did from Detroit.
Yeah, I did, because I wasn't thinking about, there were no record companies in Detroit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So what could a cat in Detroit do for me to get me out, to help me, you know, further my career? Again, everything from 96 to like that, even to that 2004, 2005, I was only thinking about New York City. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even thinking about LA. That was too far left coast. Gotcha. All the record companies, everything that was good for me was New York. So I had all kinds of relationship with Dino Diavalia over at what was he at? Where was Dino at? He was an A&R over there, Atlantic. Okay. So it was like I had so many situations. I had dealt with Ghost and them in 2001, and was in the studio with RZA and Mathematics doing tracks. So it was. Right. Who was the biggest? I did Proof with the biggest local cat that I messed with, and I did a couple beats for him. This is just before he passed away, maybe a year before he passed away. Right. I had did projects with him maybe a couple years before he passed away, but I had did some stuff with him. So it was like I wasn't even thinking about Detroit. That's why I didn't know anybody. Dilla to me was competition for me, bro.
Gotcha.
You understand what I'm saying? He didn't know it, I'm sure.
Right.
But he was competition for me.
Yeah.
So I wasn't no Dilla follower like a lot of guys were. I knew he was probably the dopest nigga on the planet. Yeah. But I'm AntLive. Exactly. So I got my own clique over here. But I did understand how dope he was, because he produced on MF911, and you know, we just didn't be able to utilize him properly. But he was just always secret competition for me. Okay. And maybe I wasn't no competition for him. I know that I wasn't. He's the king of the beats. But that I was just always a leader. Okay. So if you weren't inviting me into your circle and embracing me, which 9 times out of 10, I always had my own equipment. I always had my own connect. I had my own everything. So I never needed to be in anybody's circle. Exactly. Again, that's another thing that helps me to miss out on all of the other Detroit hip hop shit that was going on, because I had my own shit.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I had everything. So I missed out on that as well. But as we get again to 2007, we transitioned out here to Texas, and I had given Ghostface some tracks maybe a year prior.
Okay.
And I had just gave him a bunch of tracks. Okay. And you know, when I would go on the internet, you know, it was the internet, you know, you might go onto a hip hop site or seeing it. The internet wasn't like it was, but at that point, 2007, I think we get MySpace. Okay. MySpace comes, I think, in 2006. Yep. So I'm on MySpace pretty heavy. Okay. I go to visit, before we moved to Texas in 2007, I want to say August of 2007, okay, at the DTE Amphitheater, okay, in Michigan, the hip hop, Wu-Tang, Nas, Mobb Deep, everybody comes to this to do the DTE Amphitheater out there. Okay. So I go out there, you know, at this time I see Ghost. I'm like, yo, what up, Ghost? And I got my camera, and he was like, yo, AntLive. Yep. I want to use one of your beats. Okay. And I'm like, but I'm so going, right? I'm not listening. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm not listening to what Ghost. I'm just happy to see him. Okay. So he's correcting me. Nah. I want to use one of your beats. Okay. I'm thinking he's talking about my son, because I'm telling him, yo, Ghost, you know, my son is making beats. Okay. And he's like, yeah, I want to use one of your beats. So I'm thinking he's talking about, my mind is going, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Okay. So I'm recording this on video, right? So anyway, we get ready to move to Houston in September. Mm-hmm. We get here in September. I get a hit on MySpace, mm-hmm, from Ghost Manager. Ghost want to use want to use one of your beats. Okay. Like, what beats? Beat called Yolanda's House with Ghostface, Raekwon, and Method Man on it. Mm. And that ends up being on the Big Doe Rehab, Yolanda's House. Wow. Yeah, so you check your credits. That's probably my biggest hit. Is Yolanda's House. I've had the opportunity to produce for a lot of cats and do remixes. Well, Yolanda's House is my biggest hit, man. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, and that's all through MySpace. Mm. So, you know, the transition coming to Houston from Detroit, energy-wise, it was better. I had done so many things in Detroit and tried to but Detroit, like I said, you know, I love Detroit, right? Mm-hmm. It's home. I'm from the hood. But working with the artists in Detroit is a very hard thing, because, you know, we all know that hip hop is a street music. Right. So you don't really have to have theory, mm-hmm, and you don't have to have studies or anything. You just got to be able to articulate yourself, put your words and your thoughts together. So when you kind of mix that with the street element and guys that's really trying to make it, you get a kind of different type of energy sometimes. And I think by me having a studio and having a drive in a direction, you know, I would get guys and I would work with guys in different positions, help guys to become producers, put groups together. Right. But my motivation and drive always found me being the odd man out, or it was always such a hard thing to complete or to follow through or to even work with a project in Detroit, because, you know, the Detroit mentality is a different mentality. You know, it's just like, it's real cliquish. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sometimes it can be hard to work with people, man. So right. I just found like, even though I love Detroit, and like I love all the artists, they all, like all my favorite rappers come from Detroit pretty much. Right. It's just always been a hard place for me to work with lots of people. Maybe that's because I'm particular with the way I do music, mm-hmm, but just from the communication standpoint, yeah, you know, niggas from Detroit feel entitled as musicians, you know, our hip hop artists for some reason. It's like it's either entitled or they in their own cliques.
Yeah.
And not, you know, where it should be like if me and you working together, that's just me and you working together. It's nothing against the other people that we worked with.
Right.
We just working on a project. So, you know, we don't, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, if it's real cliquish type of thing. So I just found my success, you know, when you asked me the question, you know, as I made my transition to Houston, I just found my success here where I was able to branch out. The internet came. The internet was able to learn. YouTube really helped me out in 2007.
Okay.
Oh man, because I was just doing little underground beats in my studio. I was doing my beats and cats like, are you AntLive from MF911? Cats from all walks of life that I never even knew I had a fucking fan from.
Right.
But when I was like, yo, I'm MF911, and it was like on YouTube, and I was like, yo, I was just blowing up on YouTube, especially in the first 2-3 years. I mean, I was just doing little trash videos that with my camcorder, not having no understanding of filming and everything, and the shit's working, and people was like, yo, so that I was able to get a resurgence in my music, understanding how to use the internet. So the transition from working with Ghostface on that Yolanda's house to becoming stationed here and being able to work with Scarface and different things. It was just really, it did wonders for me in 2007. And just understand that every little video that I threw up on Facebook, man, they loving that shit. So I was able to parlay in that and to get what I was trying to do here. But I don't want to be too long-winded before you ask me. So
no, do you think, brother? I let cats go because we getting the story. I mean, you saying stuff that just for you to say. You talking about M, you talking about Proof, you talking about 8 Mile, you talking about they done did movies and all this. And true enough, when they talk about that, is, you know, for us who know, we kind of, I know I'm gonna hear AntLive in there somewhere, and it doesn't happen. And it's kind of like, okay, I might be the first one to get the story to where, okay, this is the reason why. Everybody was cliquish. M wasn't the M that we know today. So yeah, you're not gonna go following behind him. If he blowing up your phone, then okay, we'll get it on. So no, I feel you with that, bro.
Yeah, man, that's kind of crazy, man. That, you know, it's never been asked that way for me, but in the way I was able to articulate it to you, it was just like, yeah. So it's like from that 96 to I was just in my own zone. So like I said, the greatest thing was that is I was able to harness my skills and I was able to work with a lot of the greats from UTFO, Kango Kid. I was doing so many remixes for different little labels and being able to, at least if the remixes weren't used, I was still getting a little budget for them. You know what I'm saying? I get a couple thousand for this little remix, 5,000 for this remix. So it kind of kept me professional. I was putting together groups at this point in time. There was like few groups that I had put together. I put together this group called The Foundation. And then at this point in time also, I was working with my artist Rock Z. So he's a cat that I had met in 96. And he probably the dopest MC I ever heard. He's my favorite rapper, my favorite MC, especially out of Detroit. He had always been down with me. So he's like the fourth member or fifth member of MF911 because he came around. He's done many songs with us, and his music and he's just been a down cat with me musically, not just being down, but just being dope as well as down. So, you know, I've been able to continue producing, but really like I said, like when I was able to transition into the internet age, 2007 YouTube, and I explained to you what my videos did. I had reaching out to me from all over. So it was this cat named out of England at this point in time. So I'm doing these albums, we putting them out. So I had a cat out of England reach out to me, and even before he did, like I want to say in like 2012, I came back to Detroit, and me and my was going to put out our album on MF911. So it was our reunion. It was the reunion, I think 20-year reunion of MF911. So I promoted my first show at the St. Andrews. So we had Guilty Simpson, Bronze Nazareth, and we had Dre. We had the who's who of hip hop come out for the return of MF911 in 2012. So at this 2012, I'm going from the studio and producer to understanding how to put together shows and how to reach out to people and communicate so that I could kind of further what I was trying to do. This is 20. So after 2012, oh man, it was off to the races. I got together with a guy in England. His name is Ro Blunt, and we put together this group called the Rock and Rollers. He had sending me beats, and then rapping to one of his beats, and I was like, man, we should just do a group, call this the Rock and Rollers. My favorite movie. I had an infinity, and again because my mother was she was a fan of the Beatles, and the Beatles are from England, so I had affinity. So me and him get together. I go out there in 2013. He brings me out there in 2013. We do a couple shows. I ended up doing an album with my cousin X the Detective, and Cocaine Niggas album, and I was able to do that. I started doing more stuff for the Woo, and then I link up with Mobb Deep, Rapper Noy, and so it was just like, you know, the music and everything that I missed out in '96. We'll just say even from '92 when I signed my record deal, because we didn't do any tours, did a few shows, but we didn't do any tours. So '92, my album comes out in '93, no shows. I go to radio in '95. I'm in radio from '94 to '96. Then from '96 to 2004, I'm like a hermit in the studio working, to the point where I missed out on a lot of components and parts of hip hop.
Gotcha.
But the dopest thing is, I'm smarter now. As you get older, you get wiser. You know what I'm saying? The body don't, but you get smarter. So the rhyme, articulation on how you putting these songs together, and the production skills, they don't leave. So I don't ever, as a producer, you know, I kind of locked into just doing my thing. I said, I just wanted, you know, I've always prided myself in being able to do this kind of hip hop, that kind of hip hop. But when I locked into what I was good at and what I love to do, was strictly rap is all I've ever wanted to do.
Wow.
That, and I was able to mold and frame myself. Okay, well, I became a fan of Doom. So I needed the arts. I needed something to inspire me. I felt, damn, I'm getting older, so I need something. So I came up with my arch villain, my alias Skeletor. So Skeletor, again, inspired by Doom, he was able to hide my face. I was able to be somebody else. Right. So when Skeletor came out with that, niggas was like, oh, okay, what's this? So I'm able to take these different ideals and able to be able to articulate and put it together, because I'm smarter, I'm wiser. I know, I'm watching now, I'm seeing how cats move. You know, my circle and my team has stayed the same. But now in 2013, I'm traveling now. I'm touring. 2014, I'm touring. Now I'm touring. I'm understanding shit. I know how to put these shows together. So in 2015, I know a guy from your home city. It was Bronze. I've definitely been a supporter of Bronze Nazareth and his music. And I just remember in 2000, I put him on the show in 2012. And just dealing with different cats from back home. It was just, you know, cats see what you're doing, and then it becomes dramatic. And if you don't do enough, it's an issue. So anyway, I ended up looking back with Bronze Nazareth in 2015. So I was on my way back to England and to Europe to do some shows. And at this point in time, my partner, Roll Blunts, didn't have a lot of shows. He only had like a show or two hooked up.
Yep.
So I said, and I know how show. Why don't we get Bronze Nazareth from the Wu, since he carries the Wu-Tang flag.
Right.
If we put him on the shows, now we're able to promote the Wu-Tang flag, and we might be able to get more shows.
Okay.
So, you know, this is on YouTube as if you go back and look at AntLive and Bronze Nazareth, you'll see how this thing comes together, because we kind of supporting it as we're talking about it.
Wow.
So I say, okay, so get Bronze Nazareth. So I get Bronze Nazareth, and I put him on the show. So he comes over to England and able to get more shows. And so 2 shows turn out to end up being like 10 different shows. So at this point in time, I'm learning how to, you know, like I know if you do this, or we can get this. Now I'm understanding how to connect the dots myself and put these tours.
Right.
So in long story short, you know, after that 2015 show, my partner ended up clicking up with Bronze Nazareth. I guess he figured like, yo, I'd rather be with the guy who's affiliated with Wu-Tang than AntLive. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was like my man, and Bronze, he didn't have no respect for me, because he rolled with my man, and they started doing their own thing. But I was already, at this point in time, bro, it's like, I work with Chuck D. So before I even came back home, Chuck was, man, we about to start touring.
Right.
So I'm in England. So I was blessed, you know what I'm saying? Because this was like one of the, as we go, and as I put myself out here, I'm more susceptible to different energies and different situations. Whether I put myself in them or I don't, I'm susceptible to them, because I'm the man, I'm the front man. So as I tell you, as we go back to the story, even with MF911, I've always been the front man. So I'm the one that's taking the shots, or I'm the one that's taking the heat if there's a conflict. Niggas is coming for me if the blah 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 blah. So, you know, my man's Bronze Nazareth investment was $600, and for that $600, he was able to tour England and build with other people. But I was definitely disappointed when I came back and we weren't able to continue building together. But you know what this show's for? I'm telling my story, but I still have respect for these cats and their music. But the blessing, brother, is when I got back in 2015, August, Chuck D for me. So then from 2015, you know, we put out the group album, another MF911 album. I'm continually doing these solo albums and these collaboration albums with various artists, from Rockwell to Rock Z to Nadira X, to all of these fabulous dope hip hop artists. And one of my distributors and labels is Slam Jams, Chuck D's label, Spit Digital. So from me being his artist and from somebody he's been rocking with for 17 years, I've been able to travel the world in my old age as a MC. And that's the craziest freaking thing, is like, yo, man, God bless me. Because I was disappointed when I did this show over in England in 2015. I brought Bronze. The guy, Roll Blunt, you know, he tried to get me blackballed.
Really?
He was like, yo, it was like a blackball. They was after me, man, in a bad way. So I was feeling like, damn, man, I connected all of these guys, and you're gonna
do you like
but
that?
Like I said, you know, blessings come in disguise. The blessings come in disguise, because as soon as I came back in 2015 and in the drama, 2 weeks later, Chuck was like, all right, man, we about to go hit San Antonio. And if you look at my YouTube, You'll see me on a million shows, a million tours.
Right.
And I've been blessed by God and PublicEnemy by Chuck D to be able to put me on the bigger stage than what I am. And from being on the big stage with Chuck, I've been able to parlay the little stage. So every city and every country I went to, I was always meeting the club owners from that city or that country and able to hook up relationships so that I could do my own tours. And I've been able to do that and to continue my music. But, you know, that's hip hop, man. This is how I've been able to really take off in this century. Right. So you talk about 40 years of hip hop. You talking, if I go back all the way to 1981, 80, 90, 2000.
Wow.
And now we're in 2020. You know what I'm saying? This is a lot of this equipment I've had some of this majority out of this shit since the 90s.
Right.
You understand? So, you know, I'm just blessed to be able to people. And I'm not the easiest person to work with because I'm a go-getter.
Gotcha.
I'm not going to stand and I'm not going to wait. Yeah. Like, you know, people and a lot of things that they've done, they'd be like, yo, and it's even going back, even with my crew, MF911, or the artists that I to work with. Right. I'm not on nobody's clock. My clock fast. I'm like Ricky Bobby. So all I know is how fast when the opportunity is there, I got to take the opportunity.
There you go.
Because opportunities don't knock all the time.
Yeah.
So if it's something I want to do, and they say, yo, man, shit, man, you're gonna need $1,000 to do this, and I got $100 in my pocket, but I still got a month to go.
Yep.
Man, I might be the most standing this nigga on the corner with the pennies, trying to make that situation help me. It further what I love, and this hip hop and what we try to do with this music is, you know, I don't mean nobody no harm. Right. We try to express ourselves, and we try to do our songs and give our songs and our lives to other people in hopes that being able to inspire them through songs. If we're doing it individually from the First Coalition to Nas to Live, if we're doing this, we're giving you our lives through song. So that means a lot. And you can't wage and you can't put $1 on that. You can't put a value on that. So, you know, all I want to do is just be respected for the things that I've done in this industry. I was the first artist to be the first group. We were the first. MF911 was the first group out of Detroit, Michigan to be signed to a major.
Wow.
Boss was first to Def Jam.
Yeah.
MF911 was second to Next Plateau Polygram Records.
Okay. Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I've been able to put my root down all over this thing. It's a lot of things that I've been able to accomplish, man. I'll tell you the craziest story. 1994, after our deal is over with Next Plateau, I go out, I drive out to Queens in I think I had a Durango. Okay. Suzu Durango, I had a Durango.
Yep.
Amigo, I had the Amigo, so I had the Suzu Amigo.
Okay.
We go out door Queens. My boy, his name is a friend of mine named Al Madden. He's managing Jam Master J.
Gotcha.
So he's got a connection, Jam Master J. So we drive out there. My Amigo, Jam Master J. We out in Queens. Jam Master J. We come over to the studio. It's amazing, man. We go and we put on for him. I do my rap. You know, I'm skinny, light-skinned cat.
Right.
He's like, Jam Master J was like, told me, man, you rap too hard. Next time you rap to me, man, put a hood on. He said, man, put that hoodie on while you rapping. Because he was like, man, you rap too hard for a light-skinned cat, man. So I was like, I had the opportunity. Randy Allen, if you follow the story with Jam Master J, you know, in his death, unfortunately, there was a guy named Randy Allen who was his best friend, who was involved with it and everything. Yep. So Randy Allen at the time, you know, he was Jay's partner, but he was also the manager. Okay. So I just remember after that situation, get a call a month later, Randy Allen calling me, yo, man, I want to manage you. I think I can get you a deal. Do this deal. I want to manage you. I'm like, whoa, for real? Okay. It never came to fruition, but if you think from Jam Master Jay to Randy Allen being all over the news years later, and with the unfortunate death of him, it was like, man, it was like, wow, I was involved. You know, I was around them two cats. That shit is just incredible. Yeah. So I just, you know, I've been in a lot of great situations, a lot of situations that I've been able to continue my music in hip hop. I'll let you go, whatever. Right.
Oh, yeah. I hear you. No, your story is great, man. We got so much, and you've answered pretty much predominantly most of my questions. So just through your story, man. So, but yeah, we'll go ahead and get close to wrapping this up because we are already over an hour. But it's been a beautiful story, and for you to be as vulnerable as you've been, man, this has been wonderful. But okay, let me give you one more question. We'll bring it up to today. We got our MCs who are dominating the charts and doing their thing today. We have now Drake. We got Drake. I'll say his name, Drake. And he's doing his thing. He's dominating. But, of course, we recently found out that he has ghostwriters.
Right.
He has a team that helps to put those records together. What is your opinion on that? Because, of course, going back in the day, I was back there, and at a time, rappers was like, listen, you know, we write our own stuff. If we don't write it, it don't happen. What is your opinion on now rappers coming up, got 2 or 3 writers, producers, all of these teams around them to basically keep them with hit records?
Man, I think, you know, I'm a musician, so everything is part of the production process. From the writers to the music. I've been blessed to have some writers on some of my songs.
Gotcha.
That is something that I didn't do in the 80s, and that's something I didn't do in the 90s. That's not something I even did I think my first time a guy wrote a song for me might have been was 2006, 2007. So at this point, you know, when you get into music, music is music, man. There's a whole production to make a song. If somebody got some sweet shit for you and that shit sound dope, shit, rock that shit. As far as Drake, I think Drake is remarkable with the writing skill, whether they his or not. And I'm an old school cat, but I know I'm a producer, bro. I've been in the studio with some of the greats, and I've seen other guys give them whole lines, whole half of verses, construct their whole verses. You know what I'm saying? I've seen this. Right. So I've never found anything wrong with it. I think one of my dopest albums was Cocaine Niggas, that was produced by Detective. My guy from Chicago, Shy Gambit. I think he wrote about 4 songs on that thing for me, man. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So yeah, you know, and I made a mine. I didn't take the whole thing, but I was able to articulate some of my words and change lines and make it me. Right. But it was part of the whole production. Ex-Detective did the beats. Okay. Gambit wrote some of the verses. I said the verses and arranged the accompaniment. So it was like it's a whole part. You know, you're not saying shit when they're not saying shit when Quincy Jones write Michael Jackson shit. You know, or you know, I don't know, you know, nigga write Michael Jackson's lyrics. I don't think too many, but for Teddy Riley writing and producing, Dr. Dre writing and producing, for nobody is, you know, there's no question. This is music. We're trying to make the best song possible. I've got a new album coming out, man. You know, if you look at my catalog, the AntLive catalog, whether you're on Tidal or you know, Tidal, Spotify or iTunes or whatever, my catalog is is big, but it's not written all by AntLive. You understand? Various artists that I've worked with. Like I said, I have a new album coming out. It's called Lemon Juice Razor Blades. We're releasing that album this Friday. So it's a 5-song EP. And it's boom bap. The video is incredible. So I want you to stay tuned for it. I want all my people who are checking this out to, I know we've been long in here, but if you on, check out this album, Lemon Juice and Razor Blades. And brother, I want to just thank you again for the opportunity to come on your show and to speak with you and to tell my story. I appreciate you 1,000 on that, man. And I look forward to rocking with you real soon. Real soon. Yeah, I'm promoting a gig. I'm promoting shows out here in San Antonio. Even though I live I have a venue in San Antonio called the Reggae Bar. And I'm bringing on the 12th Rapinoid. And after that, I'm bringing out Roscos. I think it's 2 or 3 weeks later. So maybe I can get the first coalition out here as well to rock out with Roscos and open that show. But man, I thank you again, John.
Oh, no doubt, no doubt. Brother, I thank you. I appreciate you coming on. And I know you probably don't always see it, but we see you. The respect is very high, brother, because we've been watching you do your thing. And you probably don't know how you've inspired cats like me to just keep going, keep getting back in the game, because it can get frustrating. And you just be like, man, I'm done with this. But then there's certain cats like yourself, I'd go check out and be like, oh, man, I know if I'm going through this, these cats had to go through this, so probably double. You know what I'm saying? So if they had the strength to keep going, I'm going to do the same. So I appreciate you, brother, for coming through. And we got to do this again, man, because I got a bunch of other questions. So we can go a part 2 with this. So,
man, well, I'll be happy to do it anytime for you. I enjoy the First Coalition and you guys' movement. It's a very authentic grassroots movement. And I get a spiritual element from you two brothers. It's just a spiritual element that speaks through your music. And I'm just blessed that I've been able to rock with you guys on a number of occasions. But like I said, this is important for me to get my story off at different points at different times in my life. So I definitely appreciate that opportunity. So let's get together soon. Again, I got to go out on the 12th. And then I got to go a couple weeks after that. So I want to get y'all out here in San Antonio, rocking San Antonio and doing y'all thing and bringing your show remotely out here. Maybe you being able to I know that you will be able to interview Roscos. We got beautiful. We got Noy coming out on the 12th. I wish I'd have had y'all for that, but we got a lot of great things happening, and we're going to stay tuned and stay connected, brother.
Definitely. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for coming through. Give them all your information so they know exactly where to go to get at you. And then we'll shut this thing down, but we will be in touch, brother.
No doubt. Yo, this is AntLive, the Boombapkings, and you can get in contact with me at AntLive Boombapkings Instagram. My other page on Instagrams is Boombapkings Instagram. I'm also on Facebook as Anthony Singleton, and I'm on YouTube as AntLive. My discography is long. You can go to Tidal, Spotify, iTunes, Apple, wherever your network is, and just put in AntLive. You're going to see a lot of music, a lot of albums over the years, and we're going to keep rocking. Like I said, I got a new project out with Nadira X, and I got a solo album I'm dropping this week called Lemon Juice and Razor Blades. So it's going to definitely continue to be leafy. So appreciate you checking in, and we're going to go. I look forward to part 2 and building with these brothers, and we can get the conversation and the dialogue and a different thing. Maybe we can kick it about what's going on this latest hip hop shit in the game right now. So thank you to man John, and to that special place you from, GR, Grand Raps. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Much love up there.